In this video, I'm going to talk about the salaries and also the raises in 2023. And I want to talk specifically about the jobs in Finland, but I believe everything that I'm going to tell you is pretty much similar for other European countries. The difference is not that much. If you want to talk about American countries, if you want to talk USA or Canada, it's completely a different thing. But here among European countries, I think when I speak about Finland, it's pretty much similar in other countries as well. It could be a little bit better, the situation in other countries, but also it could be a bit worse. But I think Finland is in the average line in terms of the salaries and the raises. So let's start talking. So I want to talk about the professional jobs as well as the general jobs here in Finland. So let's start first with the professional jobs, the salaries and the raises related to that. If you want to get a resident permit from Finland to work here, basically they give you two types of resident permits based on the salary you get. If you want to work here and get the resident permit as a specialist, you need to have a salary more than the average salary in Finland, which is something around 3,500 euros. This rate was around 3,000 euros for the last year, but for this year it's around your salary should be around 3,500 euros if you want to get a resident payment as a specialist, as a professional worker, as an expert. So you can see that based on this definition that the migration agency of Finland indicates is that the average salary in Finland is around 3,500 euros. So based on this single value, you can understand what is the range of the salaries in Finland. You need to keep this in mind that 3,500 euros is the gross salary. It means that it's before deducting the taxes and other expenses. So it's gonna be lower than the net money you're gonna get from the company after paying the taxes, but that's the gross salary number. You can see that it's 3,500 euros. It's not that much if you want to compare it to countries like Canada or USA. But if you compare it to other European countries, you can see that it's other countries are also in the same range pretty much. Some countries are more, some countries are less, but you need to also include other expenses like rent, like transportation, like food. And if you want to have a really accurate comparison, you need to compare everything together. But in terms of salary, I believe all the European countries have the same range or in the same range. So here, if you want to work, for instance, as a mid-level developer here, you can get something around 35 to 400 euros per month, the gross salary you can get. And this number can go up to around 6,000 euros per month. But you need to be a really senior and good developer. But if you want to just start working as a junior or mid-level developer, you just need to count on the average salary that the migration organization tells you, which is around 3,500 euros per month. The sad news is that actually it's not your net salary. You need to deduct the tax from it. So the tax for this amount of salary could be around 25 to 30 to 33% of your whole salary. So for instance, if you get 4,000 euros per month, your net salary per month would be around maybe 3,000 euros. Based on this single number, you can say that this is a good salary or bad salary. You need to actually include all the expenses you have. For instance, the rent here is around, at the city center, is around 7 to 900 euros per month. For an apartment around 50 meters, you need to pay around 800 euros per month in the city center of Tampere. You can find cheaper apartments around the city, but it's going to be a little bit far from the city center. But because of the good transportation they have, you won't have any problem. Because I just wanted to talk about the salaries itself, I don't want to go into the details of the expenses you're gonna have, but to have a rough idea about that, you need to pay attention to the money, to the minimum money that you need to have to live here. The money is around 30 euros per day based on the information in the migration website. If you want to get a tourist visa, they ask you to have at least 30 euros per day to be able to live here. And I believe that's the maximum number you need to spend. That's maximum money, because if you're not a tourist and you live here, you can rent an apartment, you can cook yourself, and everything's gonna be cheaper. So, but at the maximum or at the average, it's around 30 euros per day, and it can be around 1,000 euros per month. So with a job with a minimum salary possible, you can pay for that. Now let's talk a little bit about the general works. I talked about the professional works. If you want to work as an expert here, as a developer, as a programmer, as a mechanical engineer, as an electrical engineer, those sort of works are under a specialist category. So now if you want to work as a general worker here, so obviously it's below 3,500 euros, because the resident permit that they give you is completely different. It's as a general, the resident permit is as a general worker. Look at the birds and their sound. It's amazing. Look at that one behind me. Feels great. Now let's talk a little bit about the general works. So if you want to here as a general worker, like a cleaner, or you want to work in a cafeteria, in a cafe, in a restaurant, or a lot of different jobs here actually that are under general work category, probably you're gonna get something around, it actually starts from 1,500 euros to even 3,500 euros, because based on the information that the migration websites tells us, is that the average salary is around 3,500 euros. If you get a salary above that, actually you can get a resident permit as a specialist. But if your salary is below that, you will get a resident permit as a general worker. So it means that there are a lot of general works here, general jobs here, that you can get as high as 3,500 euros per month. And I can tell you that based on the expenses and all the things that you need to pay for, it's a really good amount of money. And the minimum salary possible, I believe, is the unemployment benefit you can get from Kela. I've already created a video about Kela and the unemployment benefit it gives you. But the minimum salary, the minimum money you can get from an organization like Kela is 800 euros. So if you're a general worker here, you can expect at least, at minimum, a salary something around maybe 1500 euros, which is not bad that much. It's a good start, I think. This video is not about getting a job or finding a job, but instead it's about the salary itself. I will create another video about how easily you can actually get a job here in Finland. So please consider subscribing to my channel to not miss that video. Now let's talk about the raises a little bit. The amount of raises, especially in Finland, is not really that much. I expected to see huge raises here, but it didn't happen. Actually, I asked for around, which was really ridiculous, but the amount was around 1000 euros. I asked for this amount of raise, and it was really funny and shocking for my employer. And it doesn't work like this. In some countries it works like this, but here the range is not wide that much that you can actually ask for 1000 euros raise. But rather the raises here is something around 200 to 300 euros every year. You can ask for that, but they don't guarantee that they give you this. The inflation for the last year was something around 8%, at least in Finland, because of the invasion of Russia to Ukraine and other, the effect of the years during Corona and other factors. Actually, the inflation was around 8%. I'm not sure about the other countries in Europe, but I think it's pretty much the same there as well in other countries. But the raise was actually something around 4 or 5%, which is not really huge that much. It's been always like this, that the raises are not really as high as the inflation, and if you're an employee, it's gonna be harder and harder for you years after years, unless actually you have something to sell to the company. I mean, you have some sort of skill that nobody does in the company. But if you're a developer like other tens of or hundreds of other developers in the company, well, they don't care to raise your salary. But if you have a unique talent, you have a unique skill, well, with that actually you can force them to raise your salary more than the normal rate, and that's possible. And especially when they see you that you wanna leave the company for another offer from another company, basically they prefer to increase your salary, because you've been here so long working for them, and it's really difficult for them to find another person and replace it with you. But that's really rare, I can say. I think that's it, all I wanted to talk about. If there's something else you want to know, let me know. I can talk more about that and create other videos. But that's for today, I think.